Bruno Fernandes. Dino, not happy. Doesn't think he's right in what he has said about Garnacho after he scored the only goal, the winner for Manchester United. As I say, it's kind of split opinion. Some say, Bruno Fernandes is the captain. He has every right to say what he wants to, as he did in that post-match interview. What do you think of what Bruno Fernandes had to say? Was it the right time? Was it the right thing to say at all?
Yeah, I think it was the right thing to say. I think Dino needs to get his manager hat off and put his player hat on.
That hurt, Kev.
I tell you why, Dino. I tell you why. If a player's attitude, and he's a young player, because it's very difficult for a young player to understand what it takes to be a first-team player. So when you do go on pre-season, the first-team squad see who they're going to accept into the group. And if the attitude ain't right, they're not going to be accepted. I believe this young man is a very talented player. Mm-hmm. And he should have really been knocking on the door and being involved a lot earlier. So I think what Fernandes is saying right now is, he's got his attitude right, and this is what happens when you have that attitude. When you do have focus, you get in the team and you produce performances like that. So I don't think Bruno's speaking out of turn here.
Well, we all see it differently, don't we? This is how I see it. I'm not surprised if he's got a bad attitude because of the players he's been training with for the last 3 or 4 years. There's not many with good attitude at the club. Imagine watching. Well, you can name them. You can go right through them. He's watching Pogba, Fernandes. He's watching all these people playing who haven't really lived up to whatever. I can't remember Fernandes having to go at Ronaldo when he walked down the track. I can't remember him having to go at Rashford when he wasn't doing the business, or Sancho. I can't remember him having to go at Fred or Harry Maguire.
Yeah, but Dino...
But picking on a young 18-year-old live on the TV, I think he can do that on the training pitch.
Dino's probably done it on the training pitch.
And
that's what's helped him get to where he is.
Yeah, but
because the players you mentioned are all proven players. They've all been there, seen it, done it. This young man is trying to get there, so there's definitely hurdles he's got to get through. And you know what? Why not tell the truth? Your attitude has actually got you in when it actually hindered you at the start.
What you're saying's right, but I'd tell him to his face. You don't have to tell the world. Like, I don't know the lad, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know if you know him, but I don't know him. But I've just been given the impression he's got a bad attitude by Fernandes. And he's told the world, hasn't he, that will stick with that boy. He's 18. You were a goal scorer. I was a goal scorer. We're always cocky when you're young. There's a fine line between having mental strength and confidence that goes into cocky, and the pros knock you down. They go like, hey, I had...
Well, do you know what? It's interesting you mentioned that. Martin in Farnborough has been in touch. He says he's a Manchester United fan and is in agreement with what you have to say, Dino. He says, I'm a United fan, excited by this talent of Garnacho, but now I have a perception of him that he may be a bit of a prima donna, for example, despite not seeing enough of him, he says. And it's not what we should be thinking of him so early in his career after playing so well. But it does leave an imprint, though, on certain people. And maybe... I feel I am slightly more in Dean's camp than yours, Kevin, just because I'm thinking, well, could you not have allowed him 24 hours to have enjoyed scoring the winning goal, your first ever goal in Europe?
He's not exactly
call him out.
But here's an example, Fernandes, for me, by the way, Kev. He's not an example.
Right, but here's the funny thing. It's either this glass half empty or half full.
Of course.
So you two are the negative ones here. I'm listening to the same narrative, the same conversation happen, and I'm taking a positive out of it. Yeah, his attitude might not have been right, but he's definitely rectified it because look at him now.
That's true.
So why wouldn't you look at it like that?
Do you know what as well, Kev? We're on the radio and, I mean...
Thanks for pointing that out.
Well, yeah, for us to speak in English, we can get over what we mean. Sometimes Ten Hag and Fernandes, them talking about attitude doesn't come out quite the same way as what they mean sometimes. You know, he might not...
And could be misconstrued.
Yeah, he might not have meant to crush him, but it looked to me as if he was crushing him live on TV, 18 years of age. Fernandes, how about you standing up and not diving about and moaning every 5 minutes? That's an example to show a young player. You know, and Ronaldo, watch Ronaldo training, but Ronaldo, if I'd have been Ronaldo's manager, I would have pulled him in and said, listen, you can't do that. I've got young lads here. Watch it. They'll be walking out the ground next if I let you get away with it.
Very true. That's
so,
true.
I mean, it's not the first time he's been called out, Garnacho. Erik Ten Hag did it last week after their win over SC Sheriff in Europe as well. And maybe you're right as well to the point of saying maybe the fact that Fernandes has come out and been asked a question about Garnacho, obviously, and has sort of said, look, his attitude, and it might be a lost in translation slightly, where he's sort of said, look, he wasn't great at the start, but now he's come to the fore. He's learned where he's gone wrong previously over the last few weeks, and now his performances are he's warranted being in the starting 11 or playing for Manchester United. And now he's scoring goals as well. So I can understand where you're coming from. From a personal perspective, sometimes I don't like to think there's a problem in the camp. I just like it to all be quite smooth. Even though we might assume there's issues in the camp, I just want it sometimes to just be, everything's rosy, everything's fine.
There's serious issues in camps all the time, as you will know, Dino, and you know this, Natalie. The fact of the matter is the young man is a talented boy and they expect a lot from him, which is why they're challenging him.
Hey, Kev, can you remember Craig Armstrong at Forest?
Spuggy, yeah.
When he come and sat, he's a young player. You know, talk about put a player in his place. He sat at our table having some food afterwards. It was me, I think Kev was there, Steve Stoney and one. And he sits down and he goes, Dean, do you live in Clifton? Council estate in Nottingham? I said, not far. He said, have you any trouble? Any trouble with burglaries or anything? I went, yeah. Caught them though. He said, did you? I said, how did you catch them? I said, they ran out of petrol on my drive. So I've put a Shell garage at the bottom of my garden because I can't get to work because our car keeps running out of petrol. He's looking at me. I said,
perplexed he was, I remember.
Yeah, he was trying to have a pop at me. He was only 17.
Right, okay. As I say, the Fernandes situation and what he had to say on Garnacho has sort of divided opinion. A lot of people agreeing with you, Dino. A lot of those saying you're so positive, Kevin. That's the way to look at it as well. I'm sure it's a situation and a bit of a debate that can run, certainly.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.